Hello, everyone, and welcome to the National Inventor Club. I'm your host, Brian Freed, and we are in August 2025. I'm still wearing a short sleeve t-shirt. The last couple days of the summer, I guess some of us don't have to worry about that, like our operations director, Andy. He's in Florida, so he gets the nice warm weather all the time. By the way, I just want to say hello to Andy. How you doing, Andy? I'm sorry I put you
Good.
on the
Hey.
spot here.
No, it's true. It's warm here all the time. I'm proud of it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Andy, for putting this all together for us and managing the events and being active in the Inventor Smart community app, putting the amazing newsletters together and all the messages that are put out to the inventors all over the country and all over the world, actually. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a good event tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. All right. So let's start off by having somebody who I know pretty well. I got a chance to know during the semester as Professor Sarah Bonzo. I am taking my master's, and hopefully I will be a professor at one of the State University of New York colleges, hopefully at Oswego, New York. And I took this design thinking class and made a real connection with my professor here, Professor Sarah Bonzo. And I never even knew that I was design thinking, but she made me realize a lot of other things that I wasn't aware of as I was coming up with new inventions that I started to share with other inventors. So I thought it would be amazing to invite her on to the National Inventor Club. And if you don't mind, Professor Bonzo, I'm going to still call you that.
Sarah,
If you
good.
can, if you can introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and it would be great if you can share some tips and tricks with us. But I think something really interesting, because I'd love to have you continue to keep coming on and educating our inventor community to almost give us an understanding of what design thinking is. Go
Yeah, sure.
ahead.
I'll give you a little bit of teaser, but first I'll just quickly introduce myself. So Sarah Bonzo, I'm a faculty member at the State University of New York at Oswego. Shameless plug, we are the top ranked public online MBA in New York State. Proud to say that, and I think that's because a lot of our students that come into our program, they don't just want theory and concepts, they want to be able to apply it. So I am very fortunate that I get to work with folks that are trying to make a real difference in their organizations, folks that have an idea for a new product or service that want to see that through. I am a coaching consultant. I work a lot with health systems on improving patient flow. So all of that experience in working with different health systems also kind of transitioned me into an entrepreneur. I saw an opportunity, an issue at a number of health systems. So I am very early in my journey as an entrepreneur. And a lot of that actually stemmed from my husband, who I got to see, who's also a professor, had an idea. And I got to see him tweak and iterate that, and it resulted in a number of patents, and he had a very successful exit. So we had this little incubator in our house. So it was really fun to go through that experience. And all of these experiences as a faculty member, as a consultant, and as an entrepreneur have really given me a different appreciation for how we can approach problems and what problem solving really looks like. And as I think about being an inventor, right, I really have gained a deep appreciation for this concept of design thinking or human-centered design. So you have this really big idea, but human-centered design kind of flips the script a little bit. Instead of designing for people, we design with people. So when Brian was teeing this up, and I will be back to talk a little bit more about this, hopefully in the future, but he asked me to share a couple tips. So I won't go into a ton of detail, but a couple of things for you to consider as you're on your journey. One is this concept of an early evangelist. And this comes from the book, The 4 Steps to Epiphany. And an early evangelist is somebody who is already experiencing this problem, has tried to cobble together a solution on their own, and is willing to pay money for it. So instead of, thinking about your idea and getting really excited, and we all do that, that's part of the process. If you can identify these folks early on and bring them into the conversation, then you're going to be able to pivot a lot faster. But when you're having these conversations with these early evangelists, one of the other things, this is one of my other tips that I'll leave you with today. And this comes from the book, The Mom Test. So if you have an idea, just like if you come home from school and you've got something, you're like, Mom, here, look at this. Of course, she's going to say, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It's wonderful. when you're pitching your idea to somebody, people don't want to hurt your feelings, right? And nobody's going to tell you your baby's ugly. So in design thinking, one of the things we really want to do is we want to pull together folks that are having this problem, but instead of coming to them and saying, hey, look at what I've made, isn't it awesome? Because of course people are going to want to tell you things that will make you feel good. Nobody wants to deliver bad news. Instead, ask them about their behaviors. Have you experienced this problem? What did you do as a result? What are the things that you've tried? And sometimes what I've learned is most effective is in these early conversations is not even pitching. So you want to think about your idea and really understanding, and this is a part of what we call customer discovery. Instead of pitching, you want to think about it more as a scientist. You have a hypothesis and you want to test that hypothesis. So how can you get some folks together who are already experiencing this issue? How can you talk to them about what that looks and feels like, what they've tried? And that will inevitably open you up to opportunities that you didn't even know existed. And that pivot is where you really start to gain momentum and get you a little bit closer to that product market fit. So again, and really, it's great to be here and chat with you. I can come back and do a deeper dive on this at any time. But again, a couple of the resources that I would suggest to you if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this: 4 Steps to Epiphany, the MOM test. And also, if you're interested in design thinking and you want to learn more, IDEO out of Stanford, and that's spelled IDEO. They've got a ton of videos online, a lot of great free resources. So that's a great place to get started. You're in good hands with Brian. I had a great time working with him. And again, happy to come back anytime.
Thank you so much, Professor Bonzo. Really appreciate it. You know what? They could take your class too.
Yes. Hey,
Right?
if you're interested, if you're thinking about an MBA, if you want to really do a deeper dive, feel free to reach out to me, sarah.bonzo@oswego.edu. I am on the app as well, so you can reach out to me there or reach out to Brian.
You know what's so interesting? All of us, when we come up with the idea, we say, you know what? This is going to change the world, right? This is our baby. This is going to be the next gazillion-dollar invention. And what I learned, and one thing that I kind of integrated into my research in your class, was actually using PICFU, who is one of our sponsors, and being able to really hone in on the questions that I needed for my next invention that I'm going to launch, to say, you know what, like you kept saying, yeah, I know you think it's good, but what do other people think? So we really tailored the questions, not for people to just say, yes, it's great and amazing and wonderful, but to really get more than a yes or no question out of them. And I took that research, I made a questionnaire. I took the questionnaire, I pulled more research into it, and then I tested the market with an as seen on TV company, and it matched. It actually had really good response. So now I'm in a term sheet for one of my next inventions that are coming out, and I got a chance to kind of get involved with it from the design thinking perspective from your class. So thank you. You're an inspiration, and I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to having you on. I think we're going to probably make some kind of arrangement to have you on as our full guest speaker, so people can really dig into their invention and make better decisions.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Thank you. All right, let's have Michelle Beaver. She is one of our newest, a little feedback, I'll talk lower, but she's one of our newest Inventor Smart Community app subscribers. We appreciate you joining, Michelle, and I've had a chance to speak to you a couple of weeks back. Why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, and I believe that your invention is not protected, so maybe just talk about your idea in general.
So yeah, my name's Michelle Beaver. I'm a speech language pathologist. I work in San Diego at the San Diego Unified School District. And I have discovered the main students that I work with, a lot of them have a lot of sensory needs. And I kind of stumbled upon some like fidgets and tools that I've seen the kids kind of doing and using on their own for sensory. And I thought, well, you know what, that would be a great tool to have available. So that's how this whole thing got started. And I've started it about a year ago, and I am pivoting because I didn't know Brian yet. And so I did a lot of stuff that I didn't need to do, but I guess it led me to you guys, so that everything worked out.
Thank you. And Michelle, you're active in the Inventor Smart Community app, so engage with Michelle. Take a look at other people's posts and reply and offer some feedback and advice. One of the other sections that we haven't officially launched, because I think we pretty much got it down to ready to go at this point, is our Inventor Chat forum. And that's within the Inventor Smart Community app, but you can also go to inventorchat.com, and that's more of a discussion forum. No animation and things like that. It's just kind of really hammering down into helping each other. And we're going to build a really strong, thriving community on there as well, and continuing with the Inventor Smart Community app for the resources and tools that are available to you. So, Michelle, thank you for joining and being our newest member. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the app.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we have seen Elizabeth Doherty from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. She's the Northeast Regional Outreach Director, and we are very, excuse me, we're very excited. You see, I was so excited I lost my voice for a second. We're very excited to have you back on National Inventor Club, Elizabeth. And I just wanted to share with you, I know Andy just put in the chat, excuse me, he put in the chat an article that was out today, and I kind of put some statistics together, and it's quite fascinating because I got a lot of them between the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the Small Business Development Center, and a few other things amongst the 16,000 plus inventors in the communities that we're running here. So I just released new research revealing a shocking statistic. Only 3% of Americans with invention ideas ever take meaningful action, while 97% watch 2.3 trillion in innovation walk away annually. So let me give you some statistics now. 83% of Americans have at least one invention idea. I'm sure you do, because we're all watching and listening tonight, right? You're probably on with an invention idea. 97% never move beyond the initial concept. Individual inventors represent 25% of all US patents, but this could be much higher, right? Inventors who connect with communities like National Inventor Club here are 340% more likely to take action. 67% of successful inventors now manufacture domestically, supporting American jobs. So I think it's really the execution gap isn't about the lack of good ideas. I think plenty of us have good ideas, and we're always coming up with ideas, especially once we start, we just keep going. But it's about not knowing where to start or what path to take. That's why we have Elizabeth Doherty here tonight from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I think that the tools and resources that you and U.S. Patent and Trademark Office provide can really help bridge the gap that will allow us to keep moving forward with our ideas. So, Elizabeth, I appreciate you being on National Inventor Club here. I know we've talked about patents and trademarks and things like that in the past, but let's talk about the tools and resources that are available for us. But before we do, if you don't mind sharing some information about what you do at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and, of course, some of your background, that would be great.
Well, Brian, first and foremost, let me say thank you to you and the National Inventors Club. I know you and I have been on numerous times, and we've engaged so many years through our respective careers in the invention, innovation, entrepreneurship ecosystem. I'm so excited and happy that we've continued to walk this path together. And thank you for sharing those opening statistics. That research just really brings to light the need for educating, demystifying the process, and empowering our inventors and innovators to seize upon their ideas, to protect them, and to pursue them, that the opportunity exists. So to back up just a little bit, I will tell you a little bit about myself, because I may be meeting some of you for the very first time. As Brian said, my name is Elizabeth Doherty. I am a 30-plus year veteran of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Honestly, she's been my one and only. I started at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office right out of my undergraduate career with a degree in physics, and I started as a U.S. patent examiner. I was one of those now over 9,000 patent examiners who examined U.S. patent applications for technologies, and as I like to say, I got to see tomorrow yesterday. It was a great start to my career and something that I still cherish today. I feel like it gave me a really firm foundation into what has proceeded into the career of a lifetime. I did legal policy work for the agency, as well as doing what I do now, which is providing education, information, and demystification of the process. My apologies for the phone ringing in the background. I'm here at my mom and dad's house this evening. Going to celebrate the long holiday summer weekend. But so I have had the pleasure over time in engaging with inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs from all walks of life, whether our independent inventors, college and university inventors, small businesses, large entities, helping them to understand and appreciate the role and importance of intellectual property. What we're going to talk about tonight is so vitally important, and that's some of the valuable resources that are available to you through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. As I always like to say, Brian, the USPTO does not want to be considered a black box agency where people throw in an application and then close their eyes and hold their breath and hope for the best. We are an agency of communication and collaboration and are here, just as you and I have walked the path together, we are here to walk the path with our inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. So excited to have this opportunity tonight. Excited to represent the agency. And I send warm regards from our employees that are located across the nation, but most particularly from even our most senior executives that are located in our Alexandria, Virginia headquarters.
Fantastic. And Elizabeth, before we started, I didn't have a chance to go back and back and back, but I believe that you and I have known each other well over 10 years because we did a women's symposium in New York City in 2015. So
that is correct.
And we knew each other before that for many years. So I know that you continue to educate and inform and keep us active with what's happening at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And I think it's evolved even stronger, bigger, and better now with a beautiful website, events and resources and tools and so many things that are available for us to be able to help us to make better decisions and to protect our intellectual property.
Well, and right back at you, Brian. You have been a regular speaker in USPTO programs and events, sharing your expertise, wisdom, and knowledge. I know you have participated as a guest speaker for our Patent and Trademark Resource Center's annual symposium. And I know you're also participating in something that's coming up here very shortly, and that is Invention Con, our annual event directed at our independent inventors, which is happening September 9th and 10th. And I know you're involved in that this year, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it during our conversation this evening. That
would be great. And let's see if we can get the USPTO.gov website up, because speaking of the Invention Con and other services and events that are happening, let's take a look and see if we put in Invention Con in the search. I'm pretty sure I did that last time and it came right up. And we can talk about that. While Andy's pulling that up for us, if you don't mind, Elizabeth, maybe talking about the regional outreach offices. That's pretty interesting because we have inventors all over the country. There it is. It's the last one there. Yep. We have inventors all over the country. And I know that headquarters is in Alexandria, Virginia, but these innovation outreach offices, what is that about, Elizabeth?
Brian, I'm so glad you asked. So as a result of the America Invents Act of 2011, which is now quite a ways in our rear view, we are enjoying the benefit of Congress urging the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to open regional outreach offices. And we did just that. The first one opened in Detroit and is known as the Elijah J. McCoy Midwest Regional Outreach Office. We then followed that up with opening offices in Denver, Dallas, San Jose, and we now have a Southeast Regional Outreach Office as well. These outreach offices are physical facilities where we have staff positioned such that they can reach out into their regional community, both in person and virtually, to be a face of the USPTO, offering services, support, conducting one-on-ones, participating in local, state, and regional events, offering the information and education about the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There are locations where the public can come in and visit us in person, but again, it also serves as a jumping off point for our staff to get out into the community. This way, we didn't have to always send somebody from headquarters out across the country. Now, these regional offices are also places where our employees can work, and a number of employees do at those various locations. I should mention, though, we've also opened our first ever community outreach office. And I suspect in the not too distant future, I don't have a calendar timeline on it exactly, but I suspect we'll open more of those as well. Our first one opened in Upper New England, actually in New Hampshire, and it services the states of Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. We have an individual position there, actually on the campus of the University of New Hampshire, doing outreach into those three remarkable and inventive communities.
Very interesting. So these innovation outreach offices, we're not going in there and asking, what do you think of my invention? It's about navigating through what it is that we need to be able to keep us moving forward with protecting our intellectual property or finding what we need, right? Whether
that's very true, Brian. Yeah, let me dispel one misconception that happened very early on when we opened these regional offices. And there was, I think, perhaps a misunderstanding or misconception that people thought, oh, if I live in the state of California, and there's a regional office in San Jose, California, my application will necessarily be filed and examined there in the Western Regional Outreach Office. Now, that's not the case. All applications, and as you know, the majority of applications are filed electronically, 99.9%. Those applications are received in our Alexandria, Virginia headquarters, and they were processed there, and then they are disseminated electronically to the patent examiner with the greatest level of specificity and expertise to examine those applications. So no, the regional offices for the most part are not a place where one can go in and get a consultation per se with the examiner who's examining their application. Although I should say, we do have resources at those regional offices where you could come in if you didn't have the resources at home to conduct a televideo interview with your examiner, no matter where they're located across the nation. So if you didn't have the resources at home to be able to do that, you could come into one of the regional offices to use our equipment.
Okay. Very interesting. I know that we have the InventionCon information up here. So
Beautiful.
With anything, I think if you're an inventor at any stage, or you're thinking about inventing, or maybe you're a company that has intellectual property, most likely you should go, or if you haven't gone, to the it's called USPTO.gov. So we're on this InventionCon, but on here, there's also an area for the outreach offices that we can look up, and we'll show that at the end, Elizabeth. So if
Sure.
inventors did want to contact or to find their local office, we'll put that up at the end. Maybe you can tell us about InventionCon. I know that some of the inventors and entrepreneurs and startups that are listening or watching today may get this in October, November, and this is happening next week. But this is one of the premier events that happen every year, and there's still time to register because it's virtual.
Exactly. You're right, Brian. So InventionCon, for those who have engaged with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for a number of years, perhaps even decades. You may remember what we used to hold called our Independent Inventor Conference, our IIC. Well, InventionCon is a little bit of a modern twist on that and has been taking place over the last handful of years. InventionCon this year, to reach the widest array of people, is being conducted entirely virtually, so you can tune in from anywhere. And I will say the price is right. It is FREE free. And we've put it for 2 afternoons, the 9th and 10th of September, recognizing that it's tough for people to take off an entire day's worth of work. So we've tried to really condense the time into really valuable information in a concise time frame. So again, that it doesn't jam up your work schedule and take you away from family, friends, and work responsibilities. Hopefully, people can take 2 afternoons off to join us, or even just jump into those sessions that they find most valuable.
And on September 10th, day 2, from 2 to 2:30, I'll be moderating the panel for Voices of Innovation. Very interesting inventors and entrepreneurs that I'm going to be picking their brain, and kind of like the questions that you would want to ask them, I'm going to ask for you. And we'll pull as much as we can out of them to be able to help you with your journey. And very interesting. I'm pretty excited about my guests there. Very easy to register. And actually, on every page of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, if you scroll all the way down, you'll see that there's receive updates from the USPTO. You put in your email address in there, and you can select what newsletters or information that you want to receive, and you'll get it.
You know what's
Maybe
funny,
the first
Brian?
one, right?
You know what's funny? I'm an employee of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and I signed up to receive updates from my own office and agency because I didn't want to miss a beat. I wanted to make sure I was aware of all the great stuff going on from all of the different aspects of my agency. So I highly recommend it.
Absolutely. So you can log on to uspto.gov or go to the page website and receive the updates, but you can, just like Andy did in the search, you put in InventionCon, you'll see 2025 Invention-Con, and it comes right up, and you can register. But maybe, Andy, if you can put that link into our chat on all the socials and in the Inventor Smart Community app, that would be great. Next, I'd like to talk about the tools that are available from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. One tab that I love is Learning and Resources. So if you just go on Learning and Resources, that's in the top bar. I know it might be a little small for you there, but if you just mouse over it, you'll see, look at all that. I mean, you could spend days going through all this information. But one thing that I truly love that was several years back that they really did a great job with is the Inventors and Entrepreneurs. On the first column there, the second one, if you click on there, you'll see that it's easy. I know that there's people that we can pay to get information out there, but you know what? To get started, you have these tools right here at your fingertips. Elizabeth, can you share what you have on your website that can kind of, you know what? Even if you do hire somebody, a legal, an IP attorney, intellectual property attorney, or an agent, to be able to better educate yourself on what you're getting into and understanding it, I think is really important. And you all have done a super job with these resources. If you could share about this part of your website, would be great.
Happy to do so, Brian. And I couldn't have said it better myself. The Learning and Resources pull down tab is my favorite part of our website. And it's where I tell people to start, particularly if you're just dipping your toe in the water of what is intellectual property. Why should I care? Why do I need to know? If you go to that Learning and Resources pull down tab, and as you said, go to that Inventor and Entrepreneur Resources part, This is where the good stuff is.
Mhm.
And I love how we have realigned the content on this page, because it, in a sense, is in a chronological approach. Get started before you apply for your intellectual property protection, getting help to apply, applying after you apply, what happens after you apply, appealing or fixing an issue, entrepreneurs' resources. It's so well laid out. I think it's very intuitive. And to your point, Brian, should people, if they're hiring a professional to assist them, read this? I think the answer is hands down yes. Because one, it makes you a better educated consumer. It helps you to know before you have that first conversation with an IP professional as to what you're getting yourself into. This way, you're not walking into an attorney's office, and when they say the words patent, trademark, copyright, trade secret, you're lost and confused. You may have at least a kernel of an idea of what's going on and what to expect. If we look specifically at this get started portion, one of my favorite parts under the heading get started is identify the kind of IP you have. And if we select that, it takes you to what we call our IP identifier, which is a wonderful online tool whereby answering a series of 6, that's right, just 6 questions, one can have a feel for what types of intellectual property you might be creating in any endeavor. Again, it just helps you to refine the difference between a patent, a trademark, a copyright, a trade secret. Are you creating one or all of those in whatever it is you are trying to do? So it helps you to begin to understand and helps you to begin to think about the concept of an IP portfolio, because you may be creating more than one type of intellectual property in your endeavor. So I love this part of getting started.
Absolutely. If we scroll up now and you go back to the IP, let me see. Let me just go back up there real quick, a little bit higher to the learning and resources. If we just mouse over that, you'll see that it's kind of broken down the same way that's on this Inventor and Entrepreneur page, but it also digs a little bit deeper. You have glossary of terms, which I've used before, like what did they just say? The how-to videos are pretty interesting also. And you could take a look and find patent and trademark practitioners that are on here as well. So I just wanted to keep this screen up for a moment to see all the different hyperlinks that are there for you to access. Now, if you go over the patents, if you just mouse over the patents on top, what I love here also is that it breaks down all what you need to know about patents. And look, me personally, Elizabeth, I have 15 issued patents from US Patent and Trademark Office. I think it's a little difficult when I start looking through those patents. It's scary for me, even with as many as I have, to understand how the claims should be written, how the illustrations need to be laid out, and the proper format and documentation that you need. So I prefer to have an expert, somebody who does this for a living, be able to do this for me. But before I have these conversations, I love to educate myself, and this is where I go to learn. Or if I'm not sure about something, I can have the power as an independent inventor to understand what it is that somebody's talking to me about. So definitely take advantage. Is there anything on here? And I just wanted to show there's maintenance fees, there's the fee schedule, the patent fees are on there all the way to the right. So there's everything at your fingertips here. Same thing with the trademarks. If you mouse over the trademarks, you'll see the same. And just a quick basic on patents and trademarks, Elizabeth. Your office covers both of those specific intellectual property assets, right?
That is correct, Brian. As our name suggests, we are the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, although you can find on our website some basic information about copyrights and about trade secrets. I will say we also hold a very special role in that we do help advise the administration on copyright policy issues, although copyrights themselves are administered by the U.S. Copyright Office. But you can find information about all forms of intellectual property here on our great website.
That's great. Elizabeth, what other points on the website, since we have the site up, do you feel like the inventors, entrepreneurs, and startups can really dig into? What about the events? I love that part because there's always something
For
going
sure.
on to register for. Where is that again? If we
Well,
put
and
in,
you can actually find it at a couple of different locations. One of
great.
which is, if we go back to the main page, see that Find It Fast? On the Find It Fast, you can find things fast. But I also would encourage people to look under, you can type events, of course, into the toolbar. On Learning and Resources, you can also find our events. And I'm trying to think where I find it most quickly. I think it's when I go back to our homepage, in fact.
I know there's the trademark boot camp that people are active with.
There
I
we go.
also know,
He's got
right?
the pointer on it right now. Thank you, Andy. Finding our public events. And if you scroll down, you can see all upcoming events, and you'll find that we have a wealth of educational opportunities, all of which are free. We have our Path to a Patent series. We have our Trademark Bootcamp series. We have courses on what's it like to be a U.S. patent examiner. We have things for educators and parents. We have a lot in the international arena. You can see that we've got some classes coming up offered by our Office of Policy and International Affairs on international filing platforms. You know, something that's new that's been started under this current administration is something called USPTO Hour. For USPTO Hour, there it is right there. Thank you, Andy. This is something that we've instituted, and it's happening on a very regular basis, sometimes weekly or bi-weekly. And they are offered by various different business units within the USPTO, honing in on a very set subject matter. And as you can see, the next one coming up on September 10th is on international practice. So, and that's a really nuanced area. And one where you want to be sure to get it right, and one which probably involves using an IP professional for assistance. But I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. But these USPTO hours have really shined a light on different areas of intellectual property, whether it's design patent protection, on trademark scams. We've had them on a host of topics recently. So it's been a really interesting learning opportunity.
That's great. All right, well, let's take a break from the website for a moment, and let's talk about what's happening at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I sense that there's a little bit faster process of applications that are going through. In the past, I've waited, let's say if I submit a non-provisional patent application, it would take about 18 months to 24 months to get picked up by an examiner. And it seems like it's much faster now. I know that there's a hiring spree going on. I see a lot of advertisements for that you're looking to hire examiners. Can you kind of share the state of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office? What's happening? You've been around for a long time. What do you see that's significant changes that are to benefit the independent inventors?
Well, thank you for that, Brian. And yeah, I can just speak to it at a very high level. And I will say we're very focused right now as an agency on, let's call it back to basics. What are we all about? What are we about as an agency? We are about issuing U.S. patents and federally registering U.S. trademarks. So we are pouring our resources, our human capital into being really focused on those two things, because we've got a bit of a good news, bad news story. The good news is we are one of the best places in the world to file for a U.S. patent. Well, we are the only U.S. place to file for a U.S. patent, but the wealth of creativity and inventiveness is just through the roof, both from U.S. filers and foreign filers. But what that means is we've accumulated a backlog of applications. And this is true actually in both patents and trademarks. So what we are doing right now, and to your point, and you've introduced it, is that we are trying to reduce those backlogs because we recognize a delay in issuing intellectual property rights can really be detrimental to our stakeholders. So we are trying to reduce some of the extraneous activities and things that may have had some of our team members not able to be solely focused on issuing patents and registering trademarks. So again, we're really focused on kind of a back to basics approach of let's get it done. And I think we're doing that really successfully. We've reduced the unexamined backlog down to almost 800,000 applications, which still sounds like a lot of applications, and it is, which again is a good news story, but it also means that it takes a while to get to someone's application. But we're working on that by introducing new tools, by, again, as you said, hiring. If someone has been listening to the news, you may think, now, Elizabeth, I've heard that there's a federal hiring freeze. Well, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has been able to obtain an exception to that to allow us to hire trained engineers and scientists to serve as U.S. patent examiners. So if you visit our website and you look at the jobs section, and it will take you to USA Jobs, you can see that we're hiring in almost all of the technical disciplines for the Patent Examining Corps. Our goal is to hire 1,100 new patent examiners before the end of the calendar year. And that's right, we're almost in September, so we've got a big job ahead of us.
Wow. Elizabeth, your camera just froze about 10 seconds ago. So maybe you can just, and we appreciate very much. I know that you've been on the road and now you're at your parents' house, I believe, on traveling for the long holiday. So I know that your Wi-Fi there might not be the greatest, but I know that you always come in and support and help us out with this information. I know that people really appreciate it. I do have some questions that are coming in. I have some concerns also that are coming in from inventors that are watching and listening. So why don't we first start off, if you don't mind, maybe talking about, because sometimes people say, you know, I came up with this idea. Why do I even need a patent? Why should I bother with a trademark? What do you think? How would you answer that, Elizabeth?
Well, Brian, that's a great question. And let me ask, am I unfrozen or am I still frozen?
You're moving along. No,
okay,
you're
fantastic.
good.
Happy
Yep.
to be back. Well, you know, we recognize that a patent isn't for everyone. However, you don't want to get yourself down the road having disclosed your invention to discover that you should have had a patent. So it is a consideration and a contemplation that you should have at the very onset of developing whatever your invention is. Recognize right up front and at least have that conversation with yourself and with an IP professional to recognize whether it is the right approach for you. Because you don't want to disclose your invention to then find out that by making that public disclosure, it's too late to get those rights back. So yes, while having a patent may not be right for everyone, for a lot of people, it is the route to go. And you know, Brian, you've worked with a lot of inventors over time. Not every invention is patentable because there may be prior art out there already. Your idea is so great, somebody else has already thought of it, or it may be something not protectable by a patent. But at least make that determination with some expertise and some investigation. Don't just rule it out right out front.
One of the real points that I dig into with inventors that I speak to, because people, hey, Brian, I just came up with this great idea. Okay, well, is it yours? Right? So one of the first and most important things I think inventors should do is do a patent search. And whatever you find, show a patent attorney or agent to get their kind of opinion. And again, it's only an opinion, but at least know if you have a shot at getting a patent, some intellectual property, or if you're going to hit a brick wall. And you have to make a decision. And when you're hitting a brick wall, is it somebody else's intellectual property that's active right now? Or is it a patent that expired, because a utility patent lasts for 20 years and a design patent lasts for 15 years? So is it already expired? Because if it is, then it's already in the public domain, so anybody can make it, right? But from an inventor perspective, Elizabeth, the reason why I always try to get patent protection is because it gives me more options. And I know that there's some comments in here also about, protecting your intellectual property and companies ripping you off and all that type of stuff. I understand. But for me, getting my product out there to market, if I have a patent, I have a way to protect my intellectual property. That's the way that I can go. Like, for example, I have products on Amazon.com, right? On the Amazon store, and somebody infringed on one of my patents. And I showed Amazon that I have a patent issued on here, and they took them right down. So if I didn't have a patent, I wouldn't have that option. So I think it's important. And just another point, Elizabeth, I know this is about you, but I know this is important because people are commenting on it, is that if I want to, sometimes we might not be in a position where we want to manufacture our patent or our invention, and we want to bring it to market, but realistically, we might not have the funds to manufacture. If we did manufacture and we have 2,000 units in our garage, what do we do with it, right? Or do we want to license it to earn royalties? So if I'm going to go to a company that has kind of the similar types of products where I'm looking for them to add my patent or patent pending, possibly depending on what they are looking for and how they like their intellectual property, I'm going to show them my invention, and I'm going to say I'm patent pending, I'm patented. So what I'm going to look to do is I want to give you the rights to my intellectual property so you can manufacture it, you distribute it, and I earn a royalty from it. And the way that I'm doing that is by having some IP, some intellectual property. If I didn't, then what do they need me for? They could just do it themselves.
Brian, that's exactly right.
Right?
In bringing it into the focus of the licensing opportunity, you're right. Having that patent as you walk in the door, as you begin to have those negotiations and conversations with a patent in hand, makes that a much easier conversation, because it's clear what you have invented. It's clear what you have the rights to, what you are in fact offering to them for that licensing. Yeah, I agree with you completely. That patent can serve as both a sword and a shield. So now people are right when they say that people can still try and steal your idea but you have that patent, but you do also have to have the ability to enforce it. And we recognize that can be an expensive proposition.
So I hope I with my comments and with Elizabeth's comments that you have some understanding of why you maybe should consider having some intellectual property protection of filing a patent. And as far as trademarks, Elizabeth, sometimes people get confused with what a trademark is versus what a copyright is. Maybe you could just kind of just touch on that. I'm not looking to get too deep. I know we've had some of your colleagues on in the past, but maybe if you could just touch on that real quick for some questions that are coming in.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, Brian, trademarks are oftentimes one of the most valuable forms of intellectual property a business can have. I like to say that not every business has something protectable by a patent, but nearly every, if not every, company has something protectable by a trademark. And trademarks are that indicator of the source of goods and services. So it is what people come to know you by. It is what people make buying decisions based upon. So that trademark is something that you obtain. And there's actually, trademarks are fascinating because you have a trademark by using a mark in commerce. Now, if you would like to use it in a federal footprint outside of just a small geographic area, if you'd like to use it across the states, across the nation, and most of us who are selling products on the internet are doing just that, you're going to want to think about federally registering your trademark. But your trademark can be a word, a slogan, a logo. It can be a scent, it can be a color, it can be a sound. There's so many things which can serve as the identifier of the source of goods and services. There's so many iconic trademarks. They say on average, we engage or interact with over 1,500 trademarks in our daily existence. I mean, I look at the room around me, I look at the things that surround me right now, and I see, hundreds of trademarks in this room alone. Copyrights are a creative work of expression, which is placed into a fixed and tangible medium. Copyrights can protect a wide array of things: literary, artistic, movies, sculptures. And copyrights are also unique, sort of like trademarks, in that they are self-authenticating. By placing that creative work of expression into a fixed and tangible medium, you have secured a copyright. In fact, we all own hundreds of thousands of copyrights. However, to federally register your copyright allows you to take advantage of additional protections. So if you want to enforce a copyright, you're going to want to think about federally registering that copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office. So again, patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, we're not going to get into those this evening, but they all protect for very different things. Let's keep that in mind.
Elizabeth, several comments are coming in, and you've mentioned enforcement several times. How does the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office get involved with enforcement, or do they not at all?
So for the most part, the enforcement of intellectual property rights falls to the rights holder. Now, with that said, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office does have an enforcement team, which is part of our Office of Policy and International Affairs. They help to navigate issues and areas of enforcement, particularly when working with foreign IP systems. This team, in fact, also has 13 IP attachés, which are located across the globe, helping U.S. rights and U.S. rights stakeholders to enforce and protect their intellectual property in parts of the world across the globe. So again, actually enforcing one's rights generally falls to the rights holder, but the USPTO is concerned and does in fact look to policy issues with respect to enforcement.
Great. I appreciate that. And I know that the inventors that are on the chat and watching and listening appreciate that as well. There's only so much that the U.S. Patent and Trademark does with enforcement. You do have these attachés around the world, but it's up to us to protect our intellectual property. So if we have some, that's where we can say, you know what, for the next 20 years, we have the right to this intellectual property. The claims that are in our patent, the prior art, or the art that we have, that's what we have to protect ourselves. And it's worked more than not work for me when somebody has. And we have to, that's our responsibility as a patent and trademark holder. So I wanted to ask you also, Elizabeth, there are things that are going on in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I know on a daily basis, you're all working on improving the office itself. What are some of the hot topics that you can share with us that between you and your colleagues are going on to make, I know in general, but maybe if you find some specific for inventors out there to know what you're all doing for us?
Well, again, Brian, we're heavily focused on reducing the backlogs. That is first and foremost our number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
At a higher agency level, I know there's certainly, and at administration level, we're certainly looking at building in efficiencies and reducing redundancies. So we're kind of taking a fresh look at everything across the agency. Where can we do better? Where can we do more? How can we enhance the customer experience? So I think there's a lot of things that are percolating, and I think once We also are still waiting for our permanent leadership to come in. So I think that'll also set a new course as well. But in the
Great.
meantime, our acting director, Coach Stewart, is steering us on a positive course forward. So doing some really great work right now.
Excellent. I know we took the website down, but on the website, there's a contact us. Elizabeth, if there are inventors and entrepreneurs that are looking to get in touch with somebody from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I know one of the main ones that I've used and I've guided people to is the Inventor Assistance Hotline. And
sure.
I mean, anything that you need, there's questions in here. Who can I contact about this? Who can I contact about that? You can call them. If you don't find it on the website, you can call them and they'll guide you through. Can you share just some quick understanding of what that team does for us?
Oh, I'd be happy to, because they're one of my most favorite groups at the office. The Inventors Assistance Center, and there's also the corollary Trademark Assistance Center. But the Inventors Assistance Center is staffed by people who have had 30 and 40-year careers at the USPTO who are now working to kind of give back to the inventor community. They staff the Inventors Assistance Center by both answering emails and phone calls. And they will help to both answer your question, or if it's a super specific nuanced question, they'll help direct you to the right place within the agency. So I definitely recommend people, and if you put into the search bar, the Inventors Assistance Center, it'll come up directly.
Great. If we put right up there. I mean, I've asked them about forms, changing assignments, changing the attorney on record, whatever it is. I know that I have access and I can call them up and they email you, they give you information on what to put in the search and it comes right up and you can print out the forms. But a lot of this also has gone electronic, and it's great to set yourself up with an account and get your account verified. So when you do file or somebody files for you, you have access to see what's going on with your applications and your patents if they're issued or filed, as well as your trademarks, right?
Yeah, the team there at the Inventors Assistance Center, or the IAC, is really some of the best of the best.
Great. You mentioned earlier, I just want to point this one more because I know that there's the outreach offices around the country, innovation outreach offices in your region, which you can find on this USPTO.gov website. One last point I wanted to make, Elizabeth, and I'd love to get some words of wisdom from you also for everybody listening. But the Patent and Trademark Resource Center, PTRC, is a tremendous resource that people might not even know that this office is right near you. And it's usually a library within a library. And you have I'm kind of telling everybody what it is, but
That's
why don't you tell us a little bit about PTRC, Patent and Trademark Resource Center, and see, Andy, if we
I'd be
can pull
happy
that
to.
up there.
Yeah, Andy, I think if you put PTRC in that search box, it'll come up. As Brian has suggested, the PTRCs, or Patent and Trademark Resource Centers, is a network of over 100 libraries nationwide, public libraries, generally at colleges and universities, where there is one or more trained librarian trained in intellectual property searching, how to search patents or trademarks. Now, these librarians won't conduct the search for you, but they will sit down with you and help you to understand and appreciate the search tools, how to use them, how to set up a high quality patent or trademark search, and then also connect you with resources there, because many of the PTRC libraries themselves teach classes in the community or can connect you with some of the USPTO resources. These PTRC librarians are remarkable. They love what they do. And the network is really a support network where if they have a challenge, they'll put it out to the entire network to really resolve what that challenge is. So Again, I can't speak more highly of the PTRCs, and hope that you'll visit our map to find the closest one in your community. There's
Thank
generally
you.
one in at least one in every state. Some states have more than one. We're also always open to the idea of opening or having another PTRC library. So if there's a library in your community that you think would be a good fit, we're open to hearing about it.
Great. And if we click on USPTO locations there on the left of that page, a little bit next to the lady to the left. Yep. If you click on there, just a little bit lower. Yep. You'll see the map of all the PTRCs. Now, when you go in there, and shout out to Will Salas from the Smithtown, New York PTRC. Him and I have known each other for a very long time, and I refer people on Long Island, but all over the country. To start with, if you're limited on funds, or even if you're not, and you want to learn how to pull prior art, find the classification of your invention, learn more about your intellectual property, you can go to one of these PTRC, these trained librarians that were trained from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Now, when you go there, they're not going to give you an opinion on what they think of your invention. They're going to help you to pull what's similar to yours, either for you to make a decision if you're going to continue to work on, hopefully it's your intellectual property, your idea, or you take that and you give it to a patent attorney or agent for them to compare what you found to decide if it's something that you think you can get intellectual property protection on. So great resource as well. Definitely take advantage if you find one in your area.
And Brian, to your point about finding that prior art, not only does it help you to set the stage to know what the environment is that you're inventing in, it helps you to also navigate. Not only is it already out there, but is there room for you to work around the inventions of others? But it also helps you by giving you access and visibility into those patents, particularly if you're a first-time inventor. It lets you see the format of a patent. It helps you to see the language of a patent, because as you know, Brian, being a prolific inventor, patent language is not everyday speak like we're having today, particularly the language of claims. So to familiarize yourself with the form and format, the various sections of the patent, doing that research can help you in so many ways. Not only, again, the environment, the area in which you're inventing, but the patent itself.
I always talk to inventors, and they're very excited when they first come up with an idea. They wanted to change their life and make $1 gazillion, and I love that. But is it your own? When you're going through, you can go on Google and Yahoo and put in generic terms. You can go down the aisles of your big box retailers or find things on Amazon, but be real. And if it is something that kind of is similar, see if it's enough, or you're doing something different or making it work or function differently to be able to make it so you can have some intellectual property. And there's some comments also about infringing, and people are having a hard time protecting their intellectual property. And I get that, because it's happened to me. But I don't have $1 gazillion to protect my patents, but I do have a patent issued. It makes it easier for me. So I haven't had to spend a ton of money protecting my intellectual property, but I can tell you that when I have, the people who it's been selling under, like especially Amazon has been very good with their program, and even sending a letter out, a cease and desist letter. I'm working with an inventor right now who has a patent. He's been selling his product here in the United States. He hasn't sold on Amazon or any online e-tailer. And he found somebody making his product. And we contacted them and we made a deal. Now the factory is paying him half of the profits. Another one, a cease and desist, stopped the invention. And yes, there will be times, and there may be times where you do need to hire an attorney and kind of protect yourself. But that's our responsibility. I mean, we're working on our inventions that when I license an invention, most of the time they ask me to be responsible for protecting the intellectual property, keeping it up to date, because that's what I rented the rights to. So there are plenty of ways to protect. Even Alibaba Group has an IP enforcement team. I know other countries have IP enforcement teams. The USPTO has their attaches that are around the country looking to protect us. But we got to keep an eye on things as inventors, and we have to protect our intellectual property, and we all need to help and support each other to do this. So I could share my stories, and I know other inventors have as well.
Well, and that's, you said it yourself, Brian, in your statistics right up front, that those inventors and innovators that participate in a community, I think the statistic you gave, they're 340% more likely to be successful because they've learned, they've joined a community where there is a sharing of resources, a sharing of experience, a sharing of expertise. And I think that's what we're doing here this evening.
Absolutely.
It's helping to give people that leg up.
Great. Well, Elizabeth, again, very much appreciate you joining us. You're a regular here, especially in the guest intros, always giving wonderful tips and advice. But this time, if you don't mind closing us out, I know that you are very active listening to inventors and entrepreneurs and startups and successful businesses and people that are struggling out there, but somewhere along the way, they're connecting up with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and want to keep moving forward. If you can share some words of wisdom for us to keep us moving forward, that would be great.
Oh, well, Brian, again, it's always a pleasure being on with you and your audience. I love the work that you're doing and your support for inventors. I guess if I had any closing words of encouragement, first and foremost, it would be don't hesitate to ask for help. Let's be honest. Most of us were never taught about intellectual property in school. Now, I think all of us are called to be inventors because we all have great ideas and we all have problems to solve, but we don't know the first thing about protecting it, about a patent, a trademark, copyright, trade secret. It just was never part of any school that we went to. So don't beat yourself up. Ask for help. Go to forums like this. Visit the USPTO.gov website. Educate yourself through the resources that are available, but don't hesitate to ask for help, whether that's through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, a community like the National Inventors Club, or an IP professional. Ask for help, pursue your dreams, and do it carefully. We know there's a lot of potholes in the road, a lot of challenges to overcome, but we believe in you. And we at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office are there to walk the journey with you.
Thank you
please
so much.
don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much. Again, on USPTO.gov website, any page that you go to, put in your email address to be able to get updates on specific topics of interest that you would like to check off and pick. I look for the events and inventor-related type of topics that I get in my inbox quite often, and the Inventor Hour, which is very interesting, and the boot camps that you have for learning about trademarks and learning about patents and just being able to educate ourselves so we can know what's going on with our intellectual property, if we're interested in it, if we're active in it, and to be able to have better conversations with the people that we need to help along the way. So thank you very much.
I hope we'll see everybody at Invention Con.
Yes, Invention Con is, yep, thank you. That would be great. Invention Con is a couple, September 9th and 10th. You can find the information on there, and we'll put it in our chats and on our social. So we will keep in touch. Elizabeth, thank you always. It's a pleasure. We appreciate you. Thank you and your colleagues for all what you do for the inventors, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. All right. That's a wrap on August 2025 National Inventor Club. Please join the Inventor Smart Community app if you haven't already done so. It is free. Subscribers are free. We have a lot of fun. We have book clubs. We have meet and greets. We have what else? We have Q&A sessions. We've had some very interesting National Inventor Club meetings that are from our app, which we do every couple months, or I guess every like 6 months or so. We do Inventors Got Talent. So if you do have an invention, you can showcase it to the world on National Inventor Club. So thank you everybody for joining. We will see you again soon. Couple fun events that I'm coming up and active with. So please keep in touch on social. And if you'd like, I believe that we put it in the chat here and also in the Inventor Smart Community app. We're having an after meeting. So we are going to talk about some of the things that we heard tonight. I know some of us are very excited about our patents and trademarks, and some might be a little frustrated, and that's okay. We're all here to help each other get through what we need, and we can connect up in the after meeting. Until then, have a great night. Close out of the summer. Hopefully, I'll still have my short sleeve shirts on for the next couple months, but we'll see you again soon. Have a great night. Have an amazing rest of the summer, and we'll see you again soon. Come join us in the Inventor Smart Community app and also the Inventor chat forum. We'll see you soon. Good night.